Hi, and welcome to the Lewiston Tribune podcast. This is episode number 13. I'm Matt Bainey, managing editor of the Lewiston Tribune, and I'm joined today by Kaylee Brewster. Kaylee, how are you?
Good.
Kaylee is our cops and courts reporter in Nez Perce County and education reporter. And one of these days we'll have you on the podcast to talk about your beat, but that's not today.
Not today.
Kaylee has a nice column that was in the Saturday Tribune, and it's about her advice for acquiring a pet, specifically a dog. She has a few bits of advice, and she's culled that from her time with her dog, Mia. Kaylee, tell us a little bit about Mia, your dog.
Yeah, so I got Mia in 2018 at the Lewis Clark Animal Shelter. And when I was kind of looking for a dog and met Mia several times. The last time I visited her, she stood in front of the gate, so I couldn't leave. So I think she claimed me pretty quickly. She was overweight when I got her. Kind of, a lot of times when people get pets, they're underweight, and Mia was overweight, so we kind of had the opposite thing going there, but got her down to healthy size and did eventually meet her former owner, who was at that time a 96-year-old World War II vet, and was able to reunite Mia and him for a what bit, so he could kind of say goodbye and everything like that. But yeah, I've been working ever since to keep the pounds off Mia, which is sometimes difficult.
So yeah, you've had Mia for 6 years now,
yes,
and you and her are best of friends.
Right. Sometimes she doesn't. She's not the most affectionate dog. I can usually only pet her for so long before she's like, "Please leave me alone." Yeah, sometimes when I need her to move from a place because, I'm vacuuming and she's lying in the way, the quickest way for her to leave is for me to not stop petting her, and then she'll get up and leave. But we do have lots of adventures, and I do know that she loves me because she has chosen me over food a couple times.
Wow.
So, yes.
And that's high praise coming from her.
Right.
Well, Kaylee, your column that we have in the paper, you start out with one nice bit of free advice at the start. This is the time of year when folks might want to get a pet for their family, for their spouse, for their kids, for whoever. And that's not always the best choice, right?
Yeah, so one of the common things that you hear from rescue organizations, shelters, and that kind of thing is a lot of times, people get this cute little dog or animal for the holidays, and then once the allure of, this new pet, this new toy, in a sense, is over, then people kind of lose interest, but it's still a dog that needs attention and training, and so eventually your, darling little doodle turns into like a monstrous gremlin because it's untrained and running through the house and not listening to anybody and, messing everything up. So
they should have taken that advice in the movie Gremlins.
Right. Yeah, so animals, dogs, cats, whatever, if you get them, you have to commit yourself to taking care of them, not just around Christmas, but all year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say I'm prepared. I'm ready to have a pet, to make the commitment to take care of a pet year-round. What's maybe your first bit of advice as I'm picking out my pet? My dog in this case.
Yeah, so dog. The first thing that I wrote about in the column was don't get a dog that's smarter than you. And that's hard to figure out off the bat. So the first day I got Mia, I wasn't sure, like, it's like when you get a dog and you get a dog from a shelter, you don't know what they're gonna do when you're at home at work. Mm-hmm. And so I got a baby gate from my parents, and I set it up, the place that I was living in, I could set it up so that she would just be in the kitchen, so that it was like, okay, if you're out in the living room and you're not going to eat all my books and my, couch or anything like that. And the first night I came home, and she had pushed down the gate and was waiting for me by the door, and like nothing was, other than the gate, nothing was amiss. And so the next day I was still kind of like, I'm still not like 100% sure I want you to have free reign over the house just yet. And so the second day I put the gate up, and I put her kennel in front of the gate. I came home, and she had moved the kennel away from the gate and knocked down the gate again. And by that time I figured out, you know what? This whole time she's had free reign of the house, and the only thing she's managed to mess up is the things that I have been putting in place to keep her from getting through the whole house. And ever since then, the only issues that I've had with her are food related things that she's gotten into. But that was one of my clues that she was, a bit of an intelligent dog. And then, when I took her, we were walking along the levee one time, and she was sniffing for marmots and wildlife, and I noticed that she was like picking up the sticks and all that stuff and like moving them away, and I have never seen a dog do that before. Yeah. Where it was like, I have an obstacle in front of me, and I'm going to use the tools that I have as a dog to remove that obstacle so I can get where I want. Yeah. And I think that was one of my first, like, okay, she's a little bit smarter. Okay, so your next bit of advice is don't get a dog that's you can't physically handle. That maybe you can project what a dog is going to be like before you adopt it. Yeah. And I mean, I kind of take that a little bit more humorously in the column, but it's like, if you're, someone who's older, if you're having a dog with kids, like you want to make sure that it's not just a matter of being, safe for the people involved, but also, you're going to make it safe for an animal. I mean, it's never going to do yourself or the dog any good if you're walking your dog on a leash and all of a sudden the dog breaks free from your grasp and goes and chases a squirrel up the tree. So, But in my experience, it's been mostly trying to get Mia to do things that she doesn't want to do, where that has been an issue. Okay. And then your next bit of advice is don't get a dog more stubborn than you are. Yeah. Again, these are a little humorous. Yeah. Kind of explain that if you can. So I didn't realize. So once I found out that Mia was part lab and part Chesapeake Bay Retriever, I was looking at some of the characteristics of Chesapeake Bay Retrievers, and one of the most common ones that I read about is that they're really, really stubborn. And if you don't have the temperament to match, your dog will rule your house, which Mia, you could argue, does kind of rule the house a bit, but within certain boundaries, I think. And she just wants to do what she wants to do, and any kind of direction to get her to do something else, she just looks at you like, why are you being so mean to me? Or like, why are you being so dumb? Like, why can't I do this thing? And she just does what she wants to do, and trying to coax her into doing something that is like, okay, you don't want to do this, but you need to do this for, like sometimes she'll come in, on walks and stuff, and she'll have, one time she got pitch on her paws, or she rolled in something and I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that we wanted to get it cleaned off. And trying to get her to agree to any kind of cleaning is like a negotiation that requires like CIA level skills.
So, do you in this battle of wills between you and Mia, who usually wins?
Well, yeah. So one of the things that she does is and I talk about it in the column, is the sit of stubborn, and that is probably the easiest one for me to overcome, because we'll be on a walk and she'll just want to do something, and it's like, no, we're not gonna. Sometimes it's like, I was hiking along Hell's Gate one time and she wanted to go sniff something, and I was like, dog, there's a cliff, like there's not even a path, it is like a drop off to death. And she was like, I want to go that way, and I'm like, we're not going that way. And she'll sit down right where the leash ends and refuse to move. And in that case, you just have to wait her out. And I'll just stand there and be like, fine, we'll just sit here until you decide you want to go the right way. And with other things, it usually takes compromises involving food. So
her one weakness.
Right, her one, and I am so thankful that she does have that weakness, because if it wasn't for peanut butter, I would have no ammo.
And that is your next bit of advice, to get a dog that is food motivated.
Right.
And it sounds like almost every time you want her to do something, it's food ends up being the way you manage her to get her to do it.
Right. If I can, like, so for example, if she does need a bath, and again, because she's smart, she knows all the steps. She knows, like, whether it's a bath or getting her brushed or trimming her nails, it's like, if we're in the kitchen and the door gets closed, she's like, oh no, I know what's coming. Mm-mm. And so anyway, so there's all these things, she picks up on the pattern, and when it comes to a bath, what I have to do, and we've tried to limit baths as much as possible, because she also has arthritis and it's difficult to get her in a tub. But sometimes if she's gotten to something that she's not supposed to, this is our only option. But I'll take, she has a toy that I put peanut butter in, and I'll stick that into the bathtub, and we have like a door to the bathtub, and so I just leave the door open and I just sit it at the bottom and at the farthest end of the tub, and close the door to the bathroom and just wait. And eventually she just gets overcome by the temptation that she gets in there, and I jump in after her and I close the door, and she gets the washing down that she needs.
How long does it take her, once you put the toy in, about how long does it usually take?
Every single time it takes longer. I think the last time it was, maybe it was even like 10 minutes before.
Oh, wow.
She
really doesn't like a bath.
No. Yeah, so sometimes what I'll do with the bath is I'll soak up a towel, and if she's just like mildly dirty, I'll do that. But yeah, the whole thing is definitely an event.
And then your last bit of advice, which I think in a way kind of sums up all the other ones, is get a dog that fits your lifestyle. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so one of the things with Mia is that it's like I knew I wanted a dog that was active, but I also didn't want a dog that was going to be like jumping off the walls. Mm-hmm. So it was like something in between, like a Great Dane and a Border Collie. Because I remember the first time I took her home, and we went for a walk, and we came back, and she took a nap, and I watched Netflix, and I was like, this is perfect. Like, so, and I think, and so with finding a dog that fits your lifestyle, I mean, that can be different things to different people. And I think part of the lifestyle is not just, your own level of activity, but like, what is your work schedule like? What is your family life like? If you have kids, don't get a dog that doesn't like being around kids. And even things like if providing the proper space for a dog. Sometimes some dogs will need lots of room to run, some dogs won't. So yeah, just kind of figuring out, what you're looking for in a dog based on what you do. And a lot of the people at the animal shelter, they know their dogs really well. They know what they need, and I'm sure other organizations that have dogs available for adoption or foster or whatever, they know their animals really well, and they can tell you, this is what this dog needs, and if you fit, great, and if not, you find something else.
Mia, have you ever thought of getting another pet? Would that not go over well with her?
Mia does not like being around other dogs.
Okay.
She is very territorial. She is very much like, this is my space. She's tolerant of other dogs, but she really likes being on her own. And when I realized that, I promised her, I was like, I will give you a nice doggy retirement and not get another dog. She doesn't want to play with other dogs. There have been times where, the times where she has interacted with other dogs, her general mood is leave me alone. She's the only dog I've had that is an introvert.
Yeah, not a trait usually associated
right,
with dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
I have found though that that the dogs that she tends to get along with the best are working dogs, because sometimes we'll go on a walk and she'll meet another dog, and there's one time where we met this border collie, and it was basically like, hey, and Mia was like, hey. And then they both went their separate way. Like, this dog was like, well, I'm going to go do this. And Mia was like, well, I'm going to go sniff these bushes over here. And they were like, great. And then they just left to do their own thing.
Well, Kaylee, thanks for the advice on...
We forgot one, I think.
Oh, did we?
The older dog.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you mentioned that an older dog, is popular in this town in particular?
Yeah, so whenever I walk Mia, oftentimes I will get compliments from people being like, oh, your dog's so cute, or so pretty, and I love her white muzzle from being older. And even with getting an older dog, there, if you're trying to find a dog to fit your lifestyle, having an older dog, their personality is a little bit more established, and their temperament, so you kind of have a better idea. And not to, puppies are great, they're super cute, but older dogs I have found are a little bit more stable.
I just keep thinking, you brought up that you got to think twice about getting a pet for Christmas, and I think a lot of people, they think of the classic scene, the Christmas tree, a box, and the kids open the box and a puppy or a kitty comes out of the box. Right. And they don't think past that moment. Right.
They don't think that puppy is going to have to be taken outside every hour in the snow and the cold to go to the bathroom and to be trained, and that puppy is going to have to be trained not to chew up the other toys that you got for Christmas and all the Christmas decorations and all of those things. So yes, it's a very nice moment, but there's some behind the scenes stuff that happens in order to make that moment the magical moment that it is.
That's right. And like you say, a puppy or a kitty, they're lots of fun when they're little, but also they're a little more work, and I think it's good of you that when you adopted Mia, you got an older dog that needed, a little help getting its weight down, and that's also for anybody thinking of adopting a pet. Don't forget about the older ones too.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the reason why people, the hardest part about getting an animal is that you are most likely going to have to say goodbye to it at some point. And people want to delay that as much as possible, which is understandable. But in reality, you never know how much time you're going to get with a pet. And, I've had Mia for 6 years, and I wouldn't have traded it in for. I've made a deal with God, and I said she can have some of my years if you want to. If you want to tack off, she can have, however you want to work that out. She can have some of my years. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, it's quantity, not quality, or how does that work?
Quality, not quantity.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, if you have a good dog, it doesn't matter how many years you have.
Well, thanks, Kaylee. We do love our pets, don't we? It's,
yes.
They're so near and dear to us, and anyway, it's always fun to talk about pets with you, talk about Mia. And,
yeah, she's become a little bit of a legend among the newsroom, I think.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining us, Kaylee, and thanks for all the listeners out there tuning in to the Lewiston Tribune podcast. Be sure to check out Kaylee's column in the Saturday Tribune, and we'll be back next week with another topic for you. Bye-bye.